President Trump has been in office for less than a year, and he is more determined than ever to make sure his agenda to make America great again does not fail. After the Supreme Court ruled that President Trump's travel ban was indeed constitutional, he is not wasting any more time and pushing through more initiatives to strengthen our country. Over his past weekend, Trump took his presidential pen and signed an executive order to help restore sincerity and honesty in Washington, which has the left screaming foul. Now, this is how you drain the swamp. President Trump is making good on his campaign promises, and the left cannot stand it. First, Trump scored a significant win when the Supreme Court reinstated the travel ban, and then shortly after that he officially recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, which had leftists melting like snowflakes in July. As these fragile liberals are still recovering from a massive dose of. In another effort to keep more of his campaign promises, Trump ended backroom deals and put government employees on notice in his latest executive order. President Donald Trump fulfilled an essential portion of his pledge to drain the swamp in Washington by banning administration officials from ever lobbying the U.S. on behalf of a foreign government and imposing a separate 5-year ban on all lobbying activities. Trump has said individuals who want to aid him in his mission to make America great again should focus on the jobs they will be doing to help the American people, and not to be thinking ahead to their future income they could rake in by peddling their influence after serving in the government. This new ban that Trump signed supersedes the one that Barack Obama signed in 2009, that banned anyone from lobbying the government for a period of 2 years after leaving the government. Though what makes Trump's ban better than Obama's is that the new ban closes up all the loopholes that the former ban allowed. Soon after making that monumental move, Trump went on to sign 2 more executive orders that show just how serious Trump is about making our country great again. Here is more from Breitbart. President Donald J. Trump signed 3 new executive actions on Saturday afternoon, including a 5-year lobbying ban, reorganization of the National Security Council, and a plan to defeat the Islamic State. Regarding the lobbying ban, Trump said, "So this is a 5-year lobbying ban, and this is all of the people. Most of the people standing behind me will not be able to go to work. It's a 2-year ban now, and it's got of loopholes, and this is a 5-year ban. So you have one last chance to get out." Good. I had a feeling you were going to say that. This was something, the 5-year ban, that I have been taking a lot about on the campaign trail. Ahead of the signing, a senior administration official indicated that the lobbying ban included not only a 5-year ban on administration officials but a lifetime ban on administration officials lobbying for a foreign country. After signing the document to reorganize the National Security Council, the president said, "This is the organization of the National Security Council and the Homeland Security Council. You know pretty much what it represents. It represents a lot, and also a lot of efficiency, and I think a lot of additional safety. People have been talking about this for a long time, like many years." President Trump signed the ISIS plan, after which he said, "This is the plan to defeat the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, in other words, ISIS. I think it's going to be very successful." That's big stuff. The White House senior administration official also said ahead of the signing that the executive action regarding ISIS would give military leaders 30 days to compile and present a report to the president on a strategy to defeat ISIS. The president responded to questions about Friday's executive order on immigration after signing each of the 3 executive actions, stating, "It's not a Muslim ban, but we were totally prepared. It's working out very nicely. You see it at the airports, you see it all over." President Trump is doing precisely what the American people sent him to Washington, D.C. to do, and that is to bring integrity back to the government. Under the Obama administration, everything was sold off to the highest bidder, which did not serve the American people, but only helped fatten the lobbyists' pocketbooks, and that is about to end. Thank you, President Trump, for putting the American people first and doing your best to make America great again. Follow us on Facebook at Freedom Daily. We have no tolerance for comments containing violence, racism, vulgarity, profanity, all caps, or discourteous behavior. Thank you for partnering with us to maintain a courteous and useful public environment where we can engage in reasonable discourse. Law enforcement officers always have a tough job, especially those who have to answer to the political brass. Getting caught in the middle of a political scandal is as easy as getting takeout in Washington, D.C., and if that happens, being compromised isn't far behind. Under the tutelage of Barack Hussein Obama, this seems to be what has happened to the bulk of the higher-ups in the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Their credibility came under fire in the wake of Hillary's massive miscarriages of justice, and their names are far from being cleared. President Trump began to get an understanding of just how badly things were being run over at the FBI even before he was in office, and now that his security clearance is significantly higher, his hints to the American people about the state of those who are supposed to be in charge of carrying out justice on our behalf. Fox News reported that the president addressed just that issue when talking at a Quantico graduation of this year's new crop of the FBI's best and brightest. What might seem like a high-stakes game of political chess is no laughing matter to the president, and he plans to clean up the FBI, no matter who he angers along the way, President Trump told a graduating class of law enforcement officers at the FBI Academy on Friday that he has your back 100%, and pledged his White House will always stand behind police. The President of the United States has your back 100%, Trump said in a 17-minute speech to state and local law enforcement officers who completed a special training course at the Bureau. Trump's support for law enforcement has been no secret, but the comments at the FBI Academy came as bad blood between the White House and Bureau has reached an all-time high. Trump has blasted the Bureau's senior leadership and its reputation, calling it in tatters and the worst in history. It's a shame what's happened with the FBI, Trump said Friday, moments before he left for Quantico. But we're going to rebuild the FBI. It'll be bigger and better than ever, everybody. The level of anger at what they've been witnessing with respect to the FBI is certainly very sad, he added. No one thinks that the boots on the ground, responding to crisis and investigating suspicious deaths are the heart of the problem at the FBI. This, like most of the problems in our country, is a politically motivated one. Palms are being greased and backs are being scratched in order for very wealthy and influential people, such as the Clintons, to get away with things that should be prosecutable offenses. While some might consider President Trump's comments at the commencement to be aggressive or offensive in some way, to those who truly want to serve their country and aid in the carriage of justice, his comments should have been very supportive and reassuring. He's promising to give those same, honest law enforcement officers a leadership that they can be proud to serve under. He's promising to fix what Obama broke and deliver the American people a Justice Department that is once again dedicated to justice. Newly released documents reveal that then FBI Director James Comey's draft statement on the Hillary Clinton email probe was edited in a way that watered down the agency's findings, but during his speech, the president praised agents who keep the country safe and whom he does not blame for the investigations that have dogged his administration. The White House said Friday newly revealed FBI records show there is an extreme bias against Trump among senior leadership at the FBI. About 200 leaders in law enforcement from around the country attended the weeks-long FBI National Academy program aimed at raising law enforcement standards and cooperation. Coursework included intelligence theory, terrorism and terrorist mindsets, law, behavioral science, law enforcement communication, and forensic science. At POTUS, there is absolutely no collusion. I didn't make a phone call to Russia. I have nothing to do with Russia. Everybody knows it. That was a Democrat hoax. It was an excuse for losing the election. pic.twitter.com/odext7jsv, Fox News. At Fox News, December 15, 2017. The promises that the president has made to fix the corruption in Washington and the FBI have not made him popular with those who've been playing this political game for a long time. They're very set in their ways, and no matter how hard they search, they can't seem to find any way to keep President Trump in his lane with the promise of skeletons, the way Washington insiders are usually reined in. If we think of the FBI like a body and imagine that body having been fed a steady diet of mind-numbing drugs that keep it from performing its job the way it should, then we can see President Trump as the parent who's about to check them into rehab. Drug addicts hate everyone while they're detoxing, but they are free of the physical addiction when the nastiness is purged out. If they choose to go back to their old ways after they have been detoxed, that's a different matter, but at least they have a chance. The same will be true for the FBI. If the American people let this investigative body go back to its toxic ways after President Trump has left office, that will be our own fault. His job is to fix everything he possibly can, and leave the FBI and the country better off than he found it. HT, Fox News. Alabama has found themselves the home of the most hotly debated senatorial election in decades. The special election to replace newly appointed Trump cabinet member Jeff Sessions took a dark turn when women came out of the woodwork to accuse Republican candidate Roy Moore of UAL impropriety. Both sides of the political aisle were very interested in this election because of the slim majority that rules the Senate right now. President Trump made a point of telling the people of Alabama how important to his agenda Moore's right-leaning vote would be, and Obama supported Doug Jones, telling his fans that anything is better than another Republican in Washington. The results of Tuesday's special election were close, with Jones being declared the winner by 1.5% of the vote. With the law requiring that the winner have a margin of at least 0.5%, even a few thousand votes could have invalidated the results. Because of that close margin, and an acute awareness of what Democrats are willing to do to win, Moore wasn't ready to give up right away, and it turns out he was right. In the hours following Jones being declared the winner, not only did the news come out that the state of Alabama hadn't even counted their military votes, but other snapshots of voter fraud started to emerge. Multiple news outlets started to cry foul after what started as a suspicion had to be confirmed by individuals bragging about committing voter fraud. InfoWars posted a video of individuals at a Jones rally, bragging about coming from out of state to vote for their boy. Claims of voter fraud in Alabama are swirling after a man was caught on camera appearing to reveal that supporters of Democrat Doug Jones came from different parts of the country to vote for him. The clip was captured by Fox 10 News after it was confirmed that Jones had defeated Republican Roy Moore. Asked, "Why are you excited to see this victory?" the man responds, "Because we came here all the way from different parts of the country as part of our fellowship and all of us pitched in to vote and canvass together and we got our boy elected." Alabama vote fraud. Doug Jones supporter says, "We came from different parts of the country." https://t.co/vu4w3enoob5pic.twitter.com/r899spro. Paul Joseph Watson, at Prison Planet, December 14, 2017. It's unclear whether the individual is referring to people being transported in to campaign for Jones or to actually vote for him, which would be illegal. It's hard to say what would be more likely, that these people would come from all around the country, just to carry signs and show their support, or that they would justify any means necessary to keep Moore from getting into office. Regardless, many think that it's plenty to warrant an investigation. Preferably one that would take place before Jones is officially sworn into office, which is already being hurried by nervous Democrats. "Even the girl next to him knows that he has let the cat out of the bag," commented one Twitter user. The clip is going viral, with one version having racked up almost 300,000 views on Facebook. Roy Moore is continuing to refuse to concede the election, commenting, "In this race, we have not received the final count to include military and provisional ballots. This has been a very close race and we are awaiting certification by the Secretary of State. If Moore reduces Jones' 1.5 percentage advantage to within 0.5% after the military ballots have been counted, this will trigger an automatic recount which will be paid for by the state government." Ironically, when the election was still unsure, liberals were themselves saying that the results were unfair. Prissy Hawley of Freedom Daily reported just hours after the results came in on the myriad of excuses that liberals had in the chamber to say that the results were unfairly going towards Moore. Just one example is an old standby, white supremacy. In the article, the website asserted that white supremacy was preventing black citizens from being able to take to the polls. That no doubt got the black populace fired up just in time to go cast their votes for Jones before the race ended. Here's a short excerpt of their ridiculous story, where they claimed that white supremacists were requiring poor blacks from being able to vote because they were required to show an ID. Alabama has a long history of suppressing the votes dating back at least to 1901 when the state passed a new constitution whose main purpose was to deny African Americans the right to vote. They whined. In 2011, the Republican-controlled state legislature passed a law that all voters must have a photo ID, which immediately disenfranchised many rural and poor blacks. Alabama has been sending Republicans to Washington for a very long time, and Roy Moore, despite the allegations leveled against him, has been a much-loved Republican for a very long time. If you're still doubtful that Democrats would do anything to win, then you might want to check and see if there is any sand in your ears. And if you know that they would, you're just not sure if they did, maybe an investigation into these claims would clear all of that up. No one wants the will of the people to be carried out more than a real conservative. We just want to make sure it's the people who live in Alabama, not whoever was paid to show up and cast a vote." InfoWars. President Donald Trump has been on a winning streak ever since taking off for his first overseas trip as commander-in-chief. He returned home to business as usual for the leader of the most powerful nation in the world, who is also on a mission to block our borders from unwelcome refugees and illegals. He didn't miss a beat returning to his duties. The president was recently presented with an incredible surprise of who could be paying for one of his most important campaign promises, and you won't believe who just came up as the most unlikely financier. The only thing that's been holding America's safety and security back is the ability to fund it, which could soon not be a problem any longer and fulfill a long overdue need much quicker than originally thought. The fight over who will foot the $12 to $15 billion to fund Trump's U.S.-Mexico border wall is no longer an issue after one person could be forced to pony up the bill for it under the most ironic of circumstances. News is breaking right now from one of the most outspoken advocates of the border wall outside of President Donald Trump, who just dropped a bomb to solve the funding problem with one simple solution. The money for the wall is already in America's possession, we just need to get permission to use it now, and the one who it belongs to has no say in the matter. You could call Senator Ted Cruz the best problem solver with devising the perfect solution to get moving on one of Trump's biggest and most important campaign promises. Breitbart reports, Senator Ted Cruz, RTX, introduced a bill calling for the use of $14 billion seized from cartel drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman to be used to pay for the president's border wall between the U.S. and Mexico. It makes perfect sense since one of the world's largest drug cartel leaders benefited by the billions in an open border. Now that he's in custody, it's only fair that the blood money in holding go to good use against Chapo's cause, and Cruz is a genius for proposing this idea. $14 billion will go a long way toward building a wall that will keep Americans safe and hinder the illegal flow of drugs, weapons, and individuals across our southern border. Senator Cruz said, as was reported by Breitbart Texas, who received a statement from the senator's office on the matter. Ensuring the safety and security of Texans is one of my top priorities. The entire objective of the border wall is to dramatically slow the flow of drugs and crime into America through avenues established by El Chapo. His forfeited drug money fortune will offset the wall's cost and make meaningful progress toward achieving President Trump's stated border security objectives, Cruz's statement continued. The bill, appropriately dubbed the Ensuring Lawful Collection of Hidden Assets to Provide Order, El Chapo, was introduced by Cruz on Tuesday and with any luck will get a lot of conservative support. Of course, liberals are greatly against the idea of a wall, preaching for breaking down walls of communication rather than building them. This utopian idea can't and won't work, as El Chapo proves with his billions of dollars and thousands of lives lost to his enterprise. The U.S. government is currently seeking the criminal forfeiture of more than $14 billion in drug proceeds and illicit profits from El Chapo, the former leader of the Sinaloa drug cartel, who was recently extradited to the U.S. to face criminal prosecution for numerous alleged drug-related crimes, including conspiracy to commit murder and money laundering, Cruz stated, Breitbart reports. Breitbart Texas's Ildefonso Ortiz reports that, as part of the agreement with Mexico, Guzman will not face the death penalty in the U.S. for his crimes. This makes the money usage even better, since he has to live holed up in a jail cell for the rest of his life and know what all of his money is being siphoned into. Just because the kingpin is out doesn't mean that his cartel network is, which is still in operation, breaching our border. It couldn't be better than to make their boss pay for the wall that's needed because of him and shut the whole drug and crime funnel down for good.